going to come on, we're going to do a little Q&A together, and then I'm going to finish it off with some Rudolph Steiner.
Thank you so much. Shervine has been such a big blessing in my life. We met in 2019, and we had dinner together. Actually, somebody in Laguna Beach, a mutual friend of ours, Jason Ellis, wanted to introduce us, and he wanted to have dinner with us. He's like, okay, we gotta have dinner together, we gotta get dinner together. And we couldn't get it together, and so I said, let's just do it, you and me. And so we did, and then we were like instant friends. And you know, he's had such a huge impact on my life. I'm so grateful. And I'm so grateful I got to like have an impact on yours too. So thank you so much, my friend.
I love you, brother.
I love you too. How are you guys feeling?
Fantastic.
Are you guys ready to learn some mathematics?
Peace be with you.
I can't hear you.
Yes!
Math is something we all have kind of a strange relationship with in some way. We have kind of these horror memories of when we were in junior high trying to figure out algebra. Who can feel me on this? Yeah. Long division. Oh my God. But you know what it is? You know why people have such a love-hate relationship with math? I mean, there are those kids who like loved math, and everyone's like, yeah, it's that guy that always raised his hand. I have the answer, or that girl. And they left nature out of it. Well, and they left God out of it. They left spirituality out of it.
Yep, and application.
Because math without meaning is just information. But math with meaning is divine communication. Probably everybody in this room has gone through some form of spiritual awakening. I would guess. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. And you kind of feel like you're going a little crazy sometimes. Okay, how many of you see numbers all the time?
Yeah.
Like synchronicities?
Every day.
Like you wake up in the middle of the night and it's the same time every time you wake up? Or some weird number like 111 or
222.
222 or 333. How many of you guys experience this in your awakening process? Does anyone know why that happens?
Oh, yeah. They're calibrations.
Awareness, consciousness.
Celebration, let's hear it.
They're calibrations.
Calibration.
Start to recognize divine order.
You start to recognize divine order. What else?
Reticular activation system.
Reticular activation system. What else?
That's communication.
You're starting to communicate with another side, right?
It's a resonance frequency.
Clairvoyance. There's some sort of resonance frequency going on where you start to realize that the universe is not separate from you. Because you're noticing and it's communicating back to you.
Yep.
Right? It's because we don't live in a universe, we live in a you-inverse. And the way that your divine higher self communicates with each and every one of us is largely through number. Because that's the source code. This is why we see so many synchronicities when we're going through the spiritual awakening process. And you can start to feel like, wait a minute, I'm going to kind of lose it here. What is going on? When actually, it can be the most powerful thing that we could possibly ever learn about ourselves, is to remember who we are and why we came here. And when we start to have this 111 or 1111 or 222 or 333 or angel numbers, that's the first steps of you starting to remember, because it's programmed for you to remember and awaken exactly when you're doing it. Because every single thing in your universe has been planned in advance and chosen by, guess who?
You.
There's not a single thing left to chance. You can walk through life and believe that all the people that you meet are just random passers-by in your life. But when you start to truly awaken, you start recognizing, in fact, that every single person, every single experience, every single place that you go has a divine meaning that you are intended to awaken to exactly when you do. It's a series of softenings that turns our pain into purpose and turns the suffering of duality into the gold of soul evolution.
Wow.
when we start to recognize this whole process, we start thinking, wait a minute, why did something happen to me? And we start shifting that towards, why did I choose this? It's when you start becoming sovereign, because you realize that you were sovereign all along. That every single thing that happened to you didn't happen to you, because what happens to us is not actually what happens to us, it's what we believe happens to us. We can't separate our lens of bias from the reality that we experience. So we, until this point in time, think the universe is totally separate from us. And when we're in school learning mathematics, we think it's just this abstract thing that we have to learn, and so we learn to hate it. When actually it is this divine signature that's through everything. In fact, what we think of as mathematics, you could say applied mathematics becomes geometry. So we could visualize that. Applied geometry is actually what we would call physics. Applied physics becomes chemistry. Applied chemistry becomes biology. Applied biology becomes psychology. Applied psychology becomes sociology. Applied sociology becomes philosophy. And applied philosophy is back to mathematics.
Big circle.
Nothing is separate. Everything. And I can interlace the arts through all of this as well. What we consider the world around us as being separate really is just the way we see ourselves and the way we see our brains and the perspective that we're looking at it from. What's the angular perspective that we're experiencing the world around us from? At this point in my brain right here, it's the right temporal lobe. This is where I process music because I'm right-handed. On the exact same point on my left side of my brain is where I process mathematics. At the center of my brain is where I process geometry. This is why geometry is the nexus between music and math. Mathematics then could be said to be simply the abstract form of music. Frequency.
Let's go.
And vibration.
And geometry is the music that we experience with our eyes. Is this resonating?
Yes.
And poetry is done in iambic pentameter, if you like Shakespeare, and that's also mathematical.
Mm-hmm.
All of it is just a different representation of math.
Same thing.
You know, even the word mathematics did not used to mean the study of quantity or the science of quantity. It wasn't until Aristotle that they narrowed the definition of math to become the science of quantity. Before Aristotle, Plato and Pythagoras before that, all is number. All is number. Meaning that the language of mathematics is the language of all learning. That this is the universal language. And it gets broken down into all these different representations. The back of my head is where I have the occipital lobe of my brain. This is where I process my visual things. So the natural sciences is processed on the left back part of my brain, back by the occipital lobe. And on the right side, it's where I'm basically processing visual arts. The visual arts. So we can find that the golden ratio is the thing that connects everything. And really, our brain then is not really so much of a hard drive storage unit, but rather it is a
Hologramic
antenna. It's an antenna that works better when it's balanced. It's no different than an athlete working out his body or her body. If you only worked out your right arm, what would happen to you as an athlete? You become hypertrophied in your right arm, and the rest of your body starts to become atrophied. It's balance that actually leads us to have higher performance. It's balance that leads us to higher spiritual planes. It's balance of masculine and feminine, the right side and the left side of the brain, that we can see with the pineal gland to be able to perceive the world from a higher order perspective. It's only through the balance of masculine and feminine that we can ascend. It's the balance between light and dark. I'm not afraid of people that have darkness because everyone has darkness in them. I'm only afraid of people that believe they have no darkness.
Naive.
Because those are the ones that do the scariest shit. And they do it under the auspices of this is for the greater good. They murder people. They conduct genocides, all because they can't see their darkness within them, and so they believe they're the hero. And we all have a hero bias. We all have a bias to believe we're the hero. I'll come back to this. About a week ago, I got to go to the Vatican, and Dr. Todd was there, and he's wearing a math t-shirt there.
Yeah, with the
Excellent.
formula.
There you go. What's it say? The greater than average. Okay. B greater than 1 over n of sigma to the n. There you go. Well done. Well done. Thank you, Dr. Todd. I have to say, I did not expect to see Dr. Todd there. Like we're in the room where Galileo presented to the Pope, right? And I walk in, I'm like, Dr. Todd. What the heck are you doing here? Wow. He's like sitting literally 2 seats from me. And while I was there, he gave a talk, and I gave a talk as well. And the talk I gave was proving the existence of a divine creator through mathematics. So, I'm going to give you a little lesson. Are you ready for a little lesson in math? Are you ready to go a little bit in the left brain? Just a little bit?
Let's go.
Take out that calculator that you've turned into airplane mode.
Yes.
And you can basically, you don't even need it to be out of airplane mode. You have it be in airplane mode, and you're going to take out, if you got an iPhone, your calculator, and you're going to actually turn it sideways. Okay? So you might learn a little bit more about how to use the calculator today. Because actually,
Calculus.
oh shit, there you go. All right. Who knows the answer to this question? How many of you think it's 0? Raise your hand. Come on, raise your hand.
It's 1.
Someone said 0? You said 0? You said 0? 0? How many of you think it's something but 0 other than 0? Okay. All right. So would you be surprised to learn that the correct answer
Is 1.
is 1? 0 to the power of 0 equals 1. Now you might think, well, maybe that's just some rule, Robert, because anything to the power of 0 becomes 1. Well, I'm going to actually teach you that it's not just some rule. It's real.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing to the power of nothing equals something. So let's look at your calculator. Do a little exercise here. So this little thing here that says x to the y, do you guys see that? Right? X to the y, it's right here. It's 1, 2, 3, 4 rows over. Okay. Now you're going to take 0.5 x to the y, 0.5 equals 0.707. You guys see this? Okay. So 0.5, which is close to 0, but it's not quite 0, right? To the power of 0.5 equals 0.707. Now, let's divide each of these numbers by 10 to get it closer to 0. So 0.05 to the power, x to the y again, of 0.05 equals 0.86. 0.05 to the power of 0.05 equals 0.86. Does that seem weird to you guys? Kind of counterintuitive, right? How does it get larger? That's what she said.
That's what she said. That's so funny.
So let's go 0.005 to the power of 0.005 equals 0.97. You guys see what's happening here?
Yeah, it's getting closer to 1.
Okay, so then if we do, let's do like 10 zeros. So 0.0, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 zeros, 5 to the power of 0.1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 5 equals point. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 5, and then 5 as well, and this equals 0.999999999. Keeps going, and then it starts to break off. 1405 after.
You can do it to 20 zeros and it still works.
So what is this telling you? As you approach 0 to the power of 0, what is this value? 1. So it's not just because it's some arbitrary rule. And 1 can be divided infinitely. So therefore, you could start the entire universe with the number 1 and divide it infinitely to create all the separation that is.
Wow.
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 So nothing,
Oh, wow.
nothing to the power of nothing equals everything. Do you guys understand the gravity of this?
Yeah. That's why we're infinite
For
beings.
those of you in the back,
That's why we're infinite beings.
to the power of nothing. To the power of nothing equals everything.
Can there really be nothing?
Or everything.
Well,
No, there's
I
everything.
guess if it's not taken to the power of nothing. So you could say then that vacuum, if we really believe that vacuum is nothing, to the power of vacuum
Whoa.
is everything also, or energy. So what does this tell us about the nature of the universe? It already points to a divine creator, doesn't it?
Expansion.
That there's no such thing as separation. Nothing to the power of nothing equals everything? That's profound because it speaks to somebody created this. And guess who that somebody is?
God. All of us.
We did.
All of us.
Each one of us.
All of us. I wrote this, I woke up in the middle of the night, and it was 1:37 because that's what my synchronicity is, always. I was born on the 137th day. 137 is the separation between light and darkness. It's called the fine structure constant. It's called alpha, as in alpha omega.
Oh my gosh.
So, there are 3 sets of numbers that are very, very special, and after tonight, you're going to start seeing these numbers a lot. And you're going to be like, wait, I got to get Robert's cell phone so I can text him and tell him I'm getting these numbers. I can't tell you how many freaking messages I get like that every day. There are 3 sets of numbers that I call double mirror numbers. They're the most powerful magic numbers that there are. And you know what? Do you guys know what a palindrome is?
Yep. Race car.
Palindrome would be like the number 24 has a palindrome of 42. It just flips it backwards. Because we live in a mirror of consciousness. So that means that numbers have relationships in their palindromes as well. Like 12 and 21, right? That's a palindrome relationship. 37 and 73, palindrome relationship. And these palindrome relationships have very unique properties in math and physics. Very unique. So 24 is unique because 1 over 24 also equals 0.416 repeating, which rounds to what?
42.
0.42. So the number 24 has a unique property in that its palindrome is equal to its reciprocal value. Right? You guys follow this so far? Okay. So then, the other numbers that do this same thing, you guys know what it would be? One of the other numbers that does this is 137. If you look up the mysterious number 137, just Google that, you will find a mountain of stuff about this. Einstein investigated this number. The Higgs boson is based on this number. The God particle.
Numerology
Everything is
11.
based on this number. It's the amount that you have to, it's called the electron coupling constant. It's how much you excite an electron. And if you excite it more than 137 times its normal energy, then it's going to emit a photon. And if you're under that energy, it'll just bounce to an outer shell, the electron will, if you remember chemistry class. This is the separation between light's reflection and light's absorption. And darkness is not the absence of light. Darkness is not the absence of light.
All colors.
Darkness, rather, is the absorbed condition of light's reflection. Now you would say, but I walk in a room and the lights are turned off and I can't see anything. All of the atoms and the molecules and everything in the room are all resonating at these frequencies that are just subthreshold for me to be able to see. But they are still emitting photons of light. When you turn on the light switch, the only thing that's happening is you are magnifying or amplifying the amount of reflection and absorption of those things in the room. Could be the nitrogen in the air, could be the carbon of the desk. All of them are emitting light photons. Light doesn't exist without darkness. There is no such thing as light that exists without the absorbed condition of that light. So if you look at a light spectrum analysis of reflection, you'll see all these different colors of it. So if I looked at what hydrogen is like 5 lines of different colors. There's a pink, there's a blue, right? There's a kind of a purple line as well. These colors all combine, and that's how we know when we look out through spectroscopy that we can look and see, oh, there's hydrogen in this chamber, or whatever it is. We can tell exactly what's inside by its light reflection properties. What are the wavelengths of light coming off of it? We know that's hydrogen. If it's a different set of wavelengths, it's helium. Or if it's a different set of wavelengths after that, it's a completely different element. But we can also see at the absorption characteristics, which are all the other colors that on the reflection side are blacked out. So all the other colors, when they come to life, basically represent the absorption characteristics. And the relationship between the two is simply 1 over x. Literally 1 over x in the Bohr atom model. That's the thing they proved. And they were able to determine the exact light frequency. Niels Bohr, the famous physicist, was able to determine the exact light frequency emitted by hydrogen without knowing anything other than the frequency of hydrogen. They could do it simply with 1 over lambda instead of 1 over x. They use lambda to represent it. What we see in the world around us is the same thing. Let's assume that we all have a number, and our number represents our light's reflection, the accumulation of all of our DNA, of all of the information of us. We emit this light, then all of our absorption, where does it go? It shows up in the world around us, reflected back to us. That's the U inverse. We are all divisions of the number 1, and I am x, and my world around me is 1 over x. My experience is that exact U inversal relationship of me. Therefore, we all have our own unique path, and we all have our own unique universe. And if you're a prime number, we take your reciprocal value and it will have a period. And that period will have repetition patterns within it. It'll keep repeating over and over, like 1 over 7 is 0.142857, and those 6 digits repeat over and over and over again. And one property you find with prime numbers is that every time you add up the sum of all of those numbers that are in the period, the repeating part of the number, it will always sum to 9, without exception, representing completion.
Oh my gosh.
Each one of us is a unique, indivisible prime number. You have a number. There's a way to determine your number. I've been working on this with Richard Rudd and Gene Keys. You can determine your number, and then you can even see the repetition cycle of your life and how you keep facing the same issues over and over again until you learn how to find your golden ratio. And everyone and every number has a golden ratio. And I'll teach you this. So the point is that there are these 3 types of numbers that have this unique property, that their palindrome is equal to their reciprocal. Those are 2 types of different axis point mirrors. Think of it like that. So the other number is 137, and its reciprocal, right, comes out to be 0.0073. So it doesn't have to be perfect just like this, it's rounding. These are only numbers that even come close to meeting themselves in the mirror. The other number that does this is 57.1. and 175. So the reciprocal of 57.1 is 175. And the palindrome is also 175. So very unique numbers. These are only 3 numbers that do this. And there's properties within these 3 numbers that are quite interesting. Now, in physics, this number is called alpha. In mathematics, this number is also a math constant. It's just called omega.
My gosh.
And this number, 24, so if I take 137 divided by 57.1, it equals 2.4.
Oh my gosh.
And this is the 24th letter of the alphabet, which is X. So wait a minute. Are you telling me that in physics, the electron coupling constant, alpha, multiplied by 24, which is the prime number pattern as well, multiplied by omega, what's that come out to? Let's take 0.73, 2.4, multiplied by 0.571. And what does that equal? What is a calculator? Just multiply these 3 numbers. 0.73 times 2.4 times 0.571. Does anyone have it? It's 1.000.
It's a whole, oh my gosh.
3.
Wait a minute. Are you kidding me? Alpha chi omega is a math equation that multiplies to 1.
Go God!
Go God, right? What the fuck? Are you kidding me?
That's, oh my gosh.
Now,
Took the words right out of my mouth.
me and my team go on Alpha Chi Omega adventures, where we go and find Alpha Chi Omega stuff left everywhere. And you know who has this symbol on the side of their mothership? The Arcturians. The logo on the side of the Arcturian mothership Athena is Alpha Chi Omega.
He's blowing my mind now.
And this has been written about, and people have drawn it, and like channelings and everything. It's all over the place. And I found in every single location I've gone to in Egypt, we find Alpha Chi Omega. In the oldest sites, we found it at the Osirian in Abydos. We find it on every single sarcophagus, under the hieroglyphics even, in the Serapeum. We find it in the Great Pyramid. The first thing I discovered inside the Great Pyramid on the sarcophagus rim was the Alpha Omega. How did I discover it? All week long, I was like in the practice of alchemy, and I was drawing in my notebook Alpha Omega, Alpha Omega, Alpha Omega, and I called Nassim Harriman. I said, I'm going to go to Egypt. I'm going to discover something, and you should come with me. And Nassim's like, I can't make it. I'd really like to come. And I said, dude, you're going to miss out because I'm really going to discover something. I know it. And I was in Israel the night before. I was in King Zedekiah's cave, and I was giving a speech at a state dinner inside this giant cave that looked like an Illuminati dinner with all this, like, there was only like this woman playing a harp. It was like so weird. And there's like these long tables with candelabras and everything. And so I said, where's the bathroom? And because I knew this was Zedekiah's cave. And this is where the Ark of the Covenant was hidden for 1,000 years.
Wow.
So I was like, I'm going to go find where they hid the Ark of the Covenant. Fuck this. So I like jumped the little fence where I said I was going to go to the bathroom. I was just going to say, I got lost trying to find the bathroom, you know. We had like the prime minister in there, all these people in there. I was like, I was going to give this speech, and because I was the host of the trip. And I ended up jumping the fence. I went deep into the cave in the dark. And, you know, I had my iPhone with me, and so I turned on the flashlight after I could see that they couldn't see the light anymore. And I went deep into this cave, and I finally find this place where I find a mound of, the whole cave is made of limestone. But I find this mound with steps that had all turned to quartz crystal.
Oh my gosh.
So something gave me this resonance, like something's happened here. And I filmed all of it, and I looked down at the floor, and I found an Alpha Omega carved into the floor.
Wow.
Right at that spot.
Wow.
It turns out that is exactly the spot that the Royal Arch Freemasons go and worship every year on the exact date that I was there, only 2 hours before I was there. They had just left, which was May 6th, 5/6/2018. The next day I went to the Great Pyramid. I flew to Egypt. I brought 12 of my friends with me. I didn't know that 12 was a significant number or anything. I was like, bring 12 of my friends with me. So I had 50 with me in Israel, and 12 of them came to Egypt. We go to the Great Pyramid, and one of them's laying in the sarcophagus, and I have a memory of being there when the pyramid was built. And a commemoration we were having. There were 5 people in the room, and I remembered seeing a blue-green light go down on the rim of the sarcophagus and press an alpha omega into the rim. And I looked exactly at the spot that I remembered it from. I came back into this dimension, and I saw it, and I was like, what the there's an alpha omega on the rim. And no one had ever seen it before. And yet it's there. How many of you have seen it now?
Yeah.
You can see it on my
your
website
video.
if you go to robertedwardgrant.com. You can see a page, and you'll be able to see lots of pictures of it and everything.
Wow.
Now,
Orion.
lots of people go to Egypt just to see that. It's these numbers. It's not graffiti. The room is 31.4159. Does that sound familiar? 314159, that's pi.
Pi, yeah.
The room is 31.4159 meters exactly in perimeter. And that alpha omega is exactly the square root of pi times 10. 5.605. So it's not coincidental. It's built right into the room. The number of times the sarcophagus fits into the room, if you stack it from the floor to ceiling, is 6 times, and then from the left south wall to the north wall is 5 times. And the entire number of times that it stacks in the room, 137 times alpha.
Wow.
The whole thing is built on resonance. The resonance frequency of the sarcophagus in the king's chamber is 117 hertz. 11.7 squared is 137. We're talking about a much more advanced technology than we can even fathom. It's a stone computer, like literally a stone computer. The pyramid is not a place where people went to die. You could say, and I can understand why people might have surmised that, because it looks like it could have been. But the death that happens in there is not the physical death, it's the ego death. The resurrection of Osiris is the symbology of coming back from living in the world of duality, the duat, and resurrecting into a new way of seeing the world. A world where we're no longer here believing that we're here to learn better judgment, but rather a world where we choose love over judgment. We're not here to learn more judgment, we're here to learn more love. We're here to learn how to love and how to be loved. That's the whole reason we're here.
Mm-hmm.
Everything else is just the smoke and mirror show. We're here to remember who we are and learn how to love ourselves. And in so doing, learn how to love everyone else around us. If you want to see a world with less wars, if you want to see a world with more compassion, if you want to see a world with more love, then be the love. If you want to see a world with more compassion, then be the compassion. If you want to see a world of transformation, then be the transformation. Be the change you want to see in the world. Because it's a you inverse. You are the master of your fate. You're the captain of your own soul. Nobody else. Spiritual awakening is about taking ownership and responsibility for your experience. Asking not why something happened to you, but why you chose it. So, alpha chi omega equals 1. 0 to the power of 0 equals nothing to the power of nothing equals everything. We're all divisions of the number 1. How do we change ourselves to become golden? You guys want to learn that?
Yeah.
So there's some property with the golden ratio. So I'll give you an equation for grace and love. There's something very unique about the golden ratio that no other number has this property. So the golden ratio is 1.618. How many of you guys knew this already?
9265.
Fibonacci relationship, right? So Fibonacci numbers would be 1 plus 1 equals 2, 2 plus 1 equals 3. Then the next one would be 5, because you just add the last number to it. Then 5 and 8, and then 13, and then 21, and 34, and 55, and 89, and 144, and 233, and 377. These are all the numbers of the Fibonacci pattern. And this determines how many branches show up on a tree. So as a tree grows up, the first row of branches will just be 1, and then there'll be another 1 above it. And then there'll be 2 branches, and then there'll be 3, and then there'll be 5, and then there'll be 8, and then there'll be 13. Every tree does this. It's called phyllotaxis. Yeah. Every tree does this. Start counting it now. When you look around, next time you do a Christmas tree, well, unless it's one that like started out from the ground, right? But that's how it'll be. If you're right at the ground, the first rung, it will basically fill out exactly like that. And so what's unique about this number is, just like I said, the double palindrome, double mirrored numbers are 37 or 137 and 73, 24 and 42 and 57.1 and 175. Those are the magic numbers, alpha, chi, omega. But this also has a unique property, because 1 over this is equal to 0.618. And it's the same number infinitely, 0339887. 0339887. It goes like that infinitely. So what makes it golden is the fact that the number is identical in what's called the mantissa. This is called a mantissa. Decimal extensions are called mantissas. Okay? So 1 over the golden ratio equals the golden ratio minus 1. So 1 over the golden ratio, right, which is this, equals the golden ratio minus 1. This is the equation of grace. When you give up of something, like in the karmic mirror, if I give something to someone in the karmic mirror, what's the karmic mirror showing back to me? Them giving something back to me. It's not the mirror reflection of me giving it to them only, it's them giving it back to me. So when we give things to the world around us without expectation, the karmic mirror is that the world gives it back to you. People that are stingy with money have a hard time getting any money back because they don't give it out. Then they're always broke. I'm not saying that you're going to go out here now and just start giving money to people so that you can get abundance. Yeah, I'm going to give money to everybody now so I'm going to get some abundance back to me. Yeah, that's going to work. Not with that mentality alone. But if you genuinely give in random acts of kindness, and you are genuinely generous with your resources, the world will genuinely be generous back to you. It is a principle of life. The richest people I know are the most generous people I know. I'll repeat that. The richest people I know are the most generous people I know. Now, you can have people that get temporary wealth that become super stingy and have a hard time releasing themselves from that money. They don't usually hold on to that money forever. There's always a balance in the universe. The universe must always have an equal opposite effect. So this equation here for grace is something that's very powerful. But is there any other number besides the golden ratio that has this property? Well, not believed to be. Could you find another number that gives you a reciprocal relationship that's the same, that does the same thing as that? Anyone know?
Is pi?
5? Pi? No, pi doesn't do it. So 3.14, 15926, 1 over that value equals 0.3183. So it's not the same, right? Although I will say this, the Great Pyramid since you brought it up. We look at it from the top here. The latitude and the longitude of the Great Pyramid are as follows. The latitude is 29.9792458 degrees. And the longitude is 31.1342 degrees. So that's the latitude and longitude of the Great Pyramid,
Oh, interesting.
north and east. So what's interesting about this, though, is that this number is something else because that's, remember, pyramid means fire, pyra. Mid is a measurement. Could be like a mean value or a midpoint, right? The middle, fire in the middle is the name of the Great Pyramid, pyramid. Fire is synonymous with light, so light. So you could say that it also could be construed as the midpoint or the mean of light. Interesting, right? Well, what's this number right here? Does anyone know the speed of light? This is exactly at the King's Chamber sarcophagus. You know what the speed of light is? The speed of light is 299,792,458 meters per second.
Oh, meters.
Wait, is that the exact same number as that? Yes.
My goodness.
Identical. So wait, on one axis, the Great Pyramid at the sarcophagus is exactly the speed of light, down to 1 meter per second accuracy.
That's
You've got
wild.
9 digits in there. That's a pretty damn good, like, wow, kind of coincidental, right?
Not coincidental. It's by design.
Well, what about, I could believe maybe it's still coincident, who knows? But what about the longitude? Is the longitude also something special? Well, if you convert this into sexagesimal math, which would be like compass math, 60 minutes, 60 seconds, like this, it comes out to be 31 degrees, 8 minutes, and 3 seconds. So 31 degrees, 8 minutes, and 3 seconds. What's that number? 1 over pi. So on one axis, the Great Pyramid is the speed of light at its latitude, and its longitude is 1 over pi?
Gee whiz.
How is that even possible? Wait, when was longitude and latitude created?
Yeah.
Not when the Great Pyramid was created. Because you know why? Time is not what we think it is. What we consider our distant past is also our distant future. Time loops. We are experiencing now. It's like standing in a river. You never stand in the same river twice. Right? The water is basically rushing past your ankles and your legs. We only experience now. We never experience the future. We think about the future a lot. We worry about the future a lot. We think about the past a lot. We worry about that a lot too, or have regrets. But actually, we only experience now. We never experience the future. We only experience now. Time actually loops on itself. We go forward in procession of equinox, so Capricorn turns into Aquarius, Aquarius turns into Pisces, Pisces with each passing month turns into Aries, and Aries turns into Taurus, and Taurus turns into Gemini, and Gemini turns into Cancer, and Cancer turns into Leo, and Leo turns into Virgo, and Virgo turns into Libra, and Libra turns into Scorpio, and Scorpio turns into Sagittarius, yes, okay. He's that kid in the class. And we go through this cycle. But guess what, guys? If we got rid of our watches, got rid of all of our clocks, and all we did was used the stars to navigate time, guess what? We would realize that time goes forward and backward at the same time. Because we just went from the age of Pisces, or the Pisceon, to the age of Aquarius. By the way, if you don't know the #1 song the week you were born, look it up. Look up the Billboard #1 song the week you were born. What was yours again?
So you also just
What was yours?
the Earth
Master
is
Blaster.
Maybe.
I mean, the stars
This
don't
is
move,
like
the
another way of
constellations
looking at
stay
your
the same.
zodiac. Look up the #1 song.
They say we're rotating at 3,000
Right, the
miles an
#1
hour
song the
around.
week I was
Oh my
born,
gosh.
May 16th, 1969, was by a group called The Fifth Dimension.
Oh my god.
Not only they're called The Fifth Dimension, they're called The Flesh Failures and The Fifth Dimension. Flesh Failures. And the song was, Let the Sun Shine In. This is the dawning of the age of Aquarius.
Oh my gosh.
Right, so look up your song.
Wow.
Because you'll find there's some
Never
significant
would have
meaning
thought
to
of looking
your
that up.
life related to that song. This matrix simulation game that we live in is made by us.
This is
And
crazy.
it's supposed to be fun. It's the best game of all time. Alan Watts said,
I love Alan Watts.
man's only trouble is that he takes too seriously what the gods made for fun. We're not here to be serious. We're here to learn how to love and be loved. But the backdrop had to be so challenging, right? It had to be so incredibly like real and tangible that like we really believed it was real. But then it got so kind of bizarre that it started looking super fake.
Oh, brother.
You guys know what I'm talking about? It's like, can this be real? They're really murdering babies now? Can this be real? The things that are happening in the world around us are the things that we yet judge within us. So let's say you're transcending beyond duality, realizing that there's no such thing as one objective truth. We lived in a universe that was called a material universe that was objective. There is an objective truth. But now as we transition through our spiritual awakening, we start realizing that what was objective and material is replaced with subjective and mental. We don't experience the world as it is, we experience it as we are.
As we perceive it to be.
Because we can't separate our biases. I can't separate. But wait, there's something beautiful in this. Because when we go through our spiritual awakening, we start thinking sometimes that, you know what, maybe it'd be better if I just didn't freaking exist. So a lot of people face depression, suicidal tendencies, because they think maybe it's just better if I didn't exist. Look at all these things I screwed up. Guess what? We all have a purpose in this universe, this one song, unique verse. The one divides itself into the many simply for the joy of perceiving itself through our unique eyes of perspective and perception. Each one of us. Every one of us has a divine purpose, and there's no mistakes. Our divine purpose is to simply observe through our eyes with all of our conditioning biases, through our own individuation, and sing the one note of this universal song that we are here to sing. Everybody has a purpose. And what does the one do this for? The one divides itself simply so that it can get more and more and more perspectives and learn more and more and more wisdom and empathy for every single conditioning bias and perspective that can exist and ever will exist. There's never been a Robert Edward Grant before. There will never be another Robert Edward Grant. It's my eyes of perception that are populating a field of information so that the one can become the ultimate philosopher. Philosophia, the lover of wisdom. The one is like what we would consider like an AI, even though I don't like the word A in this context, because all intelligence is intelligence. It's becoming more wise by gaining more and more perspectives through our eyes of perception. Because the one figured out long ago that the only way that you could find the truth would be to get the sum of all possible subjective perspectives. There's no other way. And it's only through the experience of having to transcend beyond judgment and duality, light and dark, love and judgment, that we start to move up our Kundalini. The Kundalini is like a meter for us. Down here is judgment. That's why we carry a lot of shame, right? Especially when it comes to things like sexuality, etc. But up here is pure love. So at the root chakra, we're only 1 part love and 6 parts judgment. We move up to the sacral chakra, we're 2 parts love and 5 parts judgment. We move up to the solar plexus, we're 3 parts love and 4 parts judgment. We move up to the heart and we tip the balance. We're 4 parts love and 3 parts judgment. We move into the throat chakra, we're 5 parts love, and that's where we're moving into now. It's a global throat chakra awakening right now. 5 parts love, 2 parts judgment. We move into the pineal gland, we're 6 parts love and 1 part judgment. And at the crown, we are love. This is the process that we undertake. And guess what? It's hidden everywhere. It was hidden in the Vatican Library when I was there. The room is shaped like a book. The Sistine Hall in the Vatican Library and the secret archives, they let me go in last week. It's shaped like a book open on a table. Even the chair backs are all shaped like a book that's open on a table. And in the center of the room of these flying buttresses, right, and the architectural design that's supposed to look like a book, are 8 columns. The 8 columns represent the spine. The first is Adam. The second column has Abraham on it, holding a compass and a square. The third column has Hermes, Trismegistus. This is Hermetic. Each one of these is representing the different chakra centers of the body. Hermetic wisdom was hidden right in plain sight, in front of the popes. Pope Sixtus V, who created the Vatican Library. It was all there. They let me go in. They let me see the whole section. And guess what they're doing now? They're releasing every one of their texts to the public. The Vatican has decided, Pope Francis, to release every single hidden thing inside the Vatican Library to the public through high-resolution scans that are all going to be made available online.
Amazing.
I don't believe it.
Yeah, I don't believe it either.
I don't believe
No
it.
way.
I actually believe they're doing this for real. Because you know why? They've given me 1,500 documents to review. I'm not a fan of the Vatican. But you know what? When people say to me, why do
Most
you
people
even
won't
speak
do
to the
it.
Vatican? Why do you speak to the United Nations? I ask the question back to them. Where should I go that I shouldn't listen? Jesus didn't spend time with the righteous. He spent time with the sinners. You know why? Because the righteous wouldn't listen. The most important teaching that we have to transcend judgment is going to realize, love your Lord thy God with all your heart, might, mind, and strength, and love your neighbor as yourself. It's all about learning this perspective, realizing that every truth is subjective. The only objective truth could possibly be the love that underlies it all. And maybe the love that underlies it all is the darkness of the universe that we cannot yet understand. The gravity. As Buckminster Fuller says, love is metaphysical gravity. It's the thing that binds the universe together, and it's what we're here to learn. The darkness is the love. It's the thing that attaches us all together, the hidden aspect that connects us all through entanglement and everything else. It's so beautiful. So as I said, everywhere you go, every person you meet, every experience that you have. I went to the United Nations last year, and it was a room full of overlords, and I said, how many of you, by show of hands, think that the world still needs more overlords? I saw people kind of go. I thought for sure, I was kind of getting tired of speaking there, you know, because I've done it a few years. Even with my assistant, she's here, and she knows, like, she's booked it for me, and I'm like, surely they're not going to invite me back. I was kind of rude last year. Like, they do it again. I'm like, huh? They what? They're doing a new thing in London, asking me to speak at that too. It's like, what the heck, man? You know, and it was cool to speak at the Vatican about proving God through math. I'm here to listen and to learn, because I can learn something from every single person I meet. In fact, that's what I'm here to do. Every person, every single thing that can come in your path is literally a divine communication, just like synchronicity. And the higher you raise your frequency, the more and more synchronicities you will track and register. It's exactly what Carl Jung said. It's not about getting rid of your individuality, it's about embracing it. It's about falling in love with the world just as it is. We don't escape this earth by getting off of Earth. There's no escape plan for Earth. You might think, oh, maybe it's Mars, whatever. I can't wait, though. When we go to Mars, I think it's going to be kind of cool because, you know, Elon Musk is going to have something. There's going to be some camera there. They're going to go in some cave, and they're going to find something. It's going to be like 2035 or something, whatever the heck. And then it's going to end up showing some placard that says SpaceX.
Or not.
Like some year, right, that is after that, like 2054 or something. And realization that time is actually looping on itself. As we go forward in procession, we go backwards in precession. The word precession of equinox actually means to go backwards. Time is broken in our perception. It's not actually broken. Time is just a persistent illusion that we only experience now. If we're in a Klein bottle, or what's called a Mobius strip of time, time will loop back on itself to make this figure 8. Infinity. Everything is perfect. It's exactly as it's supposed to be. So now, your golden ratio. One other thing I'll say about this, just quick. This 31 degrees, 8 minutes and 3 seconds. If you take the original decimal representation of it, 31.1342, and divide it by 360 degrees, it comes out to 0.0864. And guess what 0.0864 is? We have 86,400 seconds in one day. So on one axis, the Great Pyramid is light, and on the other axis, it's time, and time and gravity are directly linked, and the absorption of light is gravity. We're in a matrix, guys.
Wow. Sure are.
It's a kick-ass game, but it's pretty fucking hellish until you realize it's a game. And then once you realize it's a game, it's the most incredibly fun thing you've ever done. Because everywhere you go is like this cool scavenger hunt. It literally is. And that's exactly what I've been living. You know, I just got back from Scotland. I was there with Matthias Di Stefano. We're like doing all, I posted about it today. We're doing all kinds of stuff. I mean, I launched this app called Orion, right? Mm-hmm. How many of you know about Orion?
Yep.
Awesome. So Orion, I had no idea that, I mean, I'm with him at Blue's house and he says to me, oh, I'd love to go to Scotland. I said, where do you go, Matthias? He says, you'll never know the place I go. I said, where do you go? He says, it's in the Highlands. I like to go in the Highlands. I said, where in the Highlands? He said, it's a place called Clavacairn. And I'm kind of imagining Matthias like wearing Scottish stuff. I'm like, this just doesn't really fly. I'm like, what? And he's like, no, I love going to this place. It's my favorite place. It's like Merlin. It's magical. And I'm like, wow. He's like, Arthurian legend. It's all this stuff. He's like, you have to go. And I said, Clavacairn. I said, that's close to Inverness, right? Now, they made this popular TV show that's kind of like, you know, middle-aged woman porn. It's called Outlander.
Oh my gosh, so funny.
Jamie McTavish. Where this woman goes back in time because she goes to this place called Clavacairn and she steps into a time portal. Well, Matthias says, you know, it's Orion's belt. And I said, what? He goes, yeah, there's 3 mounds at the exact shape of Orion's belt, just like Giza Plateau. I'm like, what? And he says, do you know this place? And I said, actually, in 2014, I made an offer to buy a castle in Scotland. The castle was Castle Grant.
Oh my God.
And it covers Clavic Cairn.
Oh my gosh.
The Grant family lands, it had fallen out of the Grant family. It went through a bankruptcy and everything. It was a money pit, so I'm glad I didn't end up buying it. But there was a soccer team owner that had it who went bankrupt, and then there was, in Scotland around the same time, some Russian oligarchs that bought some castles that then they had problems where they fell into disrepair, and so the government locally was like, we don't want to have foreigners if we can avoid having foreigners. So even though I offered double what they ended up taking, they took the other offer. But there are two castles for my Grant family history. One of them is in a place called Granttown, where all the Scotch whiskies are made. So pretty much Balvenie, Glenfiddich, Grant's finest Scotch whiskey, Glen Grant, there's all these Grant, and the name of that company is the William Grant and Sons Company. And then the other castle is on Loch Ness. It's the famous one, the most famous castle in Scotland, where you see the picture of Loch Ness in the background, very scenic, and it's got this tower. Well, that's called Urquhart or Deep Heart Castle. And Deep Heart Castle is Grant Tower. It's part of the Grant lands. So Matthias is like, I've been going there for years. I didn't even think about this. This is your family ancestral home. And I'm like, and there's an Orion belt on the property? Are you freaking kidding me?
Oh my gosh.
I just got back from Brazil, where I discovered a new Orion correlation in Florianopolis, Brazil, of 3 megalithic sites. We landed, and Eden's there with me, and the guys are like, oh, we want to go and visit these 3 megalithic sites. They make kind of a line, but it's not really a line. It's not really a triangle. I'm like, it's Orion's belt.
Wow.
And then I checked it, and then the local archaeologists all checked it, and they posted about it. They're like, we just discovered that there's Orion's belt correlation in Florianopolis on Magic Island.
Of course.
Florianopolis is called Magic Island. Come on.
Wow.
I launched a company with Orion, and it was already on my property. Everywhere we go, it represents things inside of us. It's our journey, our hero's journey to find out who we are, to remember why we chose what we chose. The ultimate journey is always within, because everything that we even considered outside of us is still within us.
The jewel within us.
So when I went to the Vatican, and they're opening the Vatican Library, and they're going to give all of the high-res scans and everything to the public for purview, what is that actually saying about me? The place on planet Earth of our highest degree of secrets is now being revealed, because that represents a shift and change inside of me, where it's no longer knowledge is power. Knowledge is meant to be shared. When I started sharing things on social media, it wasn't because I wanted to get famous or I wanted people to follow me or anything. I did it because, honestly, I felt like in order to embed what I was experiencing, I needed to document it, and I needed to share it entirely. Otherwise, it wasn't real.
Yep.
Because I started realizing that everyone outside of me was actually me. The only way that I could actually continue my process of evolution, to turn my pain and my suffering and my challenges and my crises of life into purpose, was by sharing the journey. That was the purpose. So even being here tonight is a representation. The things that I'm changing in my life are representing the changes that are happening within me. The people that are coming into my life, the friendships that I'm making now, are representing the changes that are happening within me. The people outside of me that start to feel my open heart more and accept and love me are representing the love I feel for them. It's not a separate universe, it's a U-inverse. And every single number can go golden. Every one. Every number can become golden. I'll teach you how. So if we take our calculators again. We'll finish on this. We could pick any number. So, as I said, let's take the golden ratio. The way we solve the golden ratio is the square root of 5 plus 1 divided by 2. So if you take the square root of 5, go like this, 5, then the square root is this thing right here, and it's 2.23606 plus 1, right? So I'm going to add 1, then divide by 2. That's the golden number. 1.618-033-9887-49895. If I take the reciprocal of that number, it has this unique property that its mantissa, which I taught you guys what that meant, will be the same. The only thing that will change is the 1 will replace with 0. So it goes from 1.618-033-9887 to 0.618-033-9887. Okay. This is what makes it golden. This is the math of a black hole and a white hole. Even Leonard Susskind would say that, because this is the hole in space-time where infinity connects to another reality. It's like a ripple in space, and that number that remains identical all the way infinitely is that hole that, like a wormhole, like you could travel straight through it to another realm. The only difference is 1 plus and 1 minus. And remember, that's the equation for grace. So, but what about other numbers? If I take another number, like 5, and take its reciprocal value, it's 0.2. It's not even close. Right? Okay. What about another number like 4? Its reciprocal value is 0.25. Not even close. You won't find another number that does this. The only exception to that would be the square root of 10. So the square root of 10 is 3.16227766. And if I take its reciprocal value, it's the exact same number, just divided by 10. 0.316227766. There's something fundamental to 10, base 10. So a lot of us think that numbers were created by people. They're not. They're only discovered. The relationship between a diameter and pi as its circumference was always there. It's just that man didn't discover it until pretty late in the process. We only discover math. We never invent it. Calculus might be the only sole exception to that. Calculus is an abomination, in my opinion. It was a nice attempt, but actually, if you know trigonometry well, you don't need calculus for anything. Trigonometry is everything you need to know. You don't even need anything more than trig. It was made because we didn't have a full understanding of all the capabilities of trigonometry. Please read Philomath or Polymath and you'll see what I mean in that. So, but there's no other numbers that do this. No other numbers. Give me a number.
3.
Bigger one.
44.
44. Okay. Okay, so 44. How can I find the golden ratio? There would be two numbers that would actually give me the exact same mantissa that relate to this number 44 to turn that number from its repetition cycles to a golden infinite number. The golden thread. The way you do it is you divide it by 2, you square it, you add 1, add back the 1, and then take the square root of that, and then now add back the 22. Did you cut out? And now I have 44.022715555, and when I take its reciprocal value, it has the exact same reciprocal value in its mantissa. 0.0227155455454, and its reciprocal is 0.0227155455454. This can be done with any number now. This means that you break the cycle of repetition of your life, and the way you solve your own number is just take your birthday, take your name,
Oh,
so you need your time as well,
gematria.
right? And then the, sorry, it should be the location. Location, and then the your name in gematria. So simple gematria. And the location is also in simple gematria. Do you know what gematria is?
Yes.
Gematria, simple gematria is just as follows. The number 1, so every alphabet, do you know that the Greeks didn't have numbers? They had letters.
Roman numerals.
So alpha equals 1. Beta equals 2. Gamma, right, equals 3.
Delta.
So these actually come from words. Alpha is bull. Aleph means bull or ox. Bet, alphabet, means the house of the bull. Do you know that alphabet is actually a reference to the Great Pyramid? Because the Great Pyramid was called Bull Mountain. The house of the bull is the seat of all learning, the alphabet. Aleph bet. The C is a representation of Gimel, for camel. So alpha, bet, camel.
Delta.
Each one of them has numbers. So the Greeks never even used numbers. They simply used their alphabet. Now imagine you read something in Greek and it has a numerical representation for all of it. Because they were using the exact same numbers as they were. This is before the Arabic numeral system. By the way, this was also true for Hebrew. This is also true for Phoenician. This is true for all the ancient languages. We didn't even have the number system yet. It doesn't mean that it didn't exist. It just would have been referred to as 1 is Aleph, 2 is Bet. You guys understand what I mean?
Yep.
So do you now understand why then, if the Bible is written in Greek, it's full of gematria
Yeah.
and hidden meanings?
Bible
Because it's built into it. Even the word aeon, which means age, aeon, A-E-O-N, or God,
Eon.
it also means I am. In Greek, all words also have meanings backwards. So their palindromic representation, or anagram as it's called, is no,
No, yeah.
a. Does anyone know what that means? Have you ever heard of the Noetics Institute? What does Noetics refer to? Thought and consciousness. Noetics is the school of thought. Right? There's a lot in the New Age community about noetics, right? So I think, and I am.
Gee whiz.
I think, no way. And flip the word backwards. Aeon means I am. Rene Descartes, I think, therefore I am. Interesting. So there are all these meanings in this. So all you have to do is you take your birthday, your time, your location, and your name. You take it to the third power for this dimension, and then you find the nearest prime number, and then take its reciprocal value.
Oh, wow.
And that will be your life path. It will be your exact pattern of life forever. And you'll see the patterns within it, the fractals within it, that will be repetitive, that you will have the same patterns over and over and over again until you finally learn how to add back the 1. You cut the number in half. We started off with 44. You cut it in half, so you get rid of the 22. You square that number, right? So 22 squared. So now we've got 22 squared. You add back the 1, and then take its square root. Then add back the 22, and then take its reciprocal value. And that's going to give you a perfect mantissa that's identical to its reciprocal. Wait a minute. What I just described is the mathematical representation of the hero's journey. Cut your life in half. You face the crisis. Find yourself within. Add back the 1 of divinity. Then with that, you square it, take its square root function to find its essence. You find yourself within, and then you find your golden ratio. That is the elixir of life, returning back to the top, which is to heal the world around you. And it works with every single number. So it doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter what number you were dealt with. It doesn't matter your circumstance. You are divine. You're perfect just as you are. You shouldn't feel ashamed. It's not the world of sin that makes the world a difficult place. It's the shame that we accumulate and feel that makes the world a difficult place. It's not because people hate each other that life is tough. It's that people hate themselves that life is tough. So are you ready to make the change? Are you ready to see the divine within you? To realize that you're perfect just as you are. We're here to love and be loved. And to remember why we chose what we chose. Thank you very much.